putting us on the map every step of the way. And we might even get the cathedral back. I think, Father, I'll look up that man's name. I think I might take his Whitehouse umbrage, the fact that they took away the cathedral from Navan. I think we need it back, do you know? Okay, without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Clare. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for coming today. We'll keep this one as brief as we can. And I'm sorry now I didn't go first, because these are all amazing speakers, so I hope this will keep you as entertained. So the talk today is on the medieval Navan, I suppose, and its environs. And we're going to start, I suppose, with the location. It'll be no surprise to anybody where Navan is if you're here today. I'm sure you're as passionate about it as the rest of us. So Navan town is situated at the meeting point of the Boyne and Blackwater rivers on the main routeway between Kells and Dublin. You can see this aerial shot of the meeting of the waters, and you can see it is where, of course, the Boyne and the Blackwater meet. People who are familiar with Navan will know this area very well, and I suppose today it's hugely significant as maybe the central core area of the town along Market Square. So the place name Navan, some historians have suggested that the origins of the modern name Navan come from an ouvre, the cave. But this appears to be a corruption of the earlier name Nua Conval, meaning new holding. Conval was often used to indicate the existence of churches, monasteries or cloisters. The Ordnance Survey in the 1830s chose the cave explanation rather than Mahamna, the rivers. The Place Name Database of Ireland attributes the origin of the town's name to a moat near Navan, which was originally a prehistoric burial ground. It also mentions its use as a fortified residence by Gaelic lords. Now, there's a title for you, the Vikings of Navan. Hands up anyone who was aware the Vikings were here. Apart from the bloodline, sometimes that comes through. A fleet of 60 Viking ships were active on the River Boyne in 837 AD. In July 1848, when workers were building the railway line in Navan, close to where the Boyne and Blackwater meet, they discovered a quantity of human remains. That was the skull of a horse and Viking decorated horse harness mounts. Now, the actual find itself was documented by William Wilde, who we know as Oscar Wilde's father. William Wilde tells us, the human bodies do not appear to have been placed in any order, and in the surrounding earth was found a great quantity of charcoal, extending from 2 to 10 feet below the surface. Only a small portion of the site appears to have been disturbed, and no proper excavation was carried out. A small portion of the grave, or battle pit, was traversed by the railway cutting, so much that the ground, so much of the ground of this remarkable interment remains as yet unexplored. So the dark earth in which these skeletons were found was clearly more extensive than the railway cutting that passed through it, and could represent either an extension to the medieval graveyard of the Clowry or a small peripheral cemetery or group of graves. Viking graves in particular are often found on the edges of early Christian cemeteries. And that's the reference there, William Wilde, a description catalogue of the antiquities of animal material and bronze in the Museum of the Royal Irish Academy. So if you look at the screen now, you'll see, I suppose, only a part of what was actually found during this time. So these are gilt bronze horse trapping mounts. These are currently on display in the National Museum. So today, I'm sure a lot of you have been to the National Museum, walk in, go in through the rotunda at the front, there's a shop there as well, and take an immediate right. And you're going to end up in a little room, and in that room a lot of the Viking hoards are displayed. So you will see, you will see the artefacts on display in the National Library, the National Museum. They're very impressive. The cruciform shape you can see on these harness mounts were used to hold ropes, and these ropes were part of, I suppose, a decoration of the horse of the Vikings themselves. So that the burial is known as the chariot burial, and they're very rare and very scarce. So this is the area where the Viking burial is today. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar. You know the railway line here? Can you all see Athlumney Castle? You know the church along here. So this is the area where the actual Viking burial was discovered. It's known as the Athlumney Hoard, and it has been described by Scandinavian experts as a Viking single burial accompanied by horse and trappings of a 9th century date. It was further observed that the absence of weapons might suggest this burial was representative of a settlement rather than a hurried burial of a passing fleet. Following on from Eamon Kelly's archaeological report, Dr. Mark Clinton identified the earthworks at Delaney as the likely site of the Viking fortress of Dundalk, also known as the Black Confluence. Now all this is recorded and you can read about it, you can look up the references. It's really interesting. Okay, so we move on. So in 1172, after the subjugation of the local rulers, Henry II granted the lands of Meath to Hugh de Lacy. I'm sure everyone in this room knows who Hugh de Lacy is at this stage, he's mentioned a lot. Under this feudal system, Hugh de Lacy divided his liberty of Meath among 12 of his barons. Subsequently, these parcels of land became known as baronies. Although tradition holds that de Lacy first walled and fortified the town of Navan, this can be dismissed on the compelling grounds that he was dead before the town was established. It was probably founded by one of his followers, Jocelyn Nangle, or De Angelo. So you can see there the baronies, they're divided up, the 12 of them. But these are the early settlements, the early baronies. So when when the Normans came to an area, they had to settle it and control it. So they did this by means of, constructing what's known as a motte, and sometimes there was a bailey attached to the motte. You're all familiar with the Navan Motte and Bailey at Moatlands, beside St. Pat's? A lot of people used to go up there to, shall we say, mitch from school and various things. Not that I did that. So you can see you can see St. Pat's School is, the football pitch. See the houses here. These are the two roads that I suppose run around it. And in 2006, excavations were carried out there to facilitate the Navan Inner Relief Road. And an extremely complicated complex of medieval households or homesteads were discovered, and they were quite early in date. So that's a photograph of the actual motte itself. I couldn't get up on it, it's quite overgrown, but it gives you an idea. Now the second motte is in Delaney, and it forms part of a cluster of medieval monuments lying about 400 metres southeast of Navan town, on the eastern banks of the Boyne. The Norman Lord de Vipo constructed this motte in the years maybe after 1172, when Hugh de Lacy granted his family the barony of Screen. Strategically placed at a fording point in the Boyne, the motte is 5.3 metres in height, with a base circumference of 32 metres. At Lumley, translates as the ford of the expanse of water. So that's the translation of the name of Lumley. We're going quickly through these, I apologise, just to keep on time. So the next, I suppose, interesting element of medieval life in Navan was St Mary's Augustinian Abbey. The Augustinian Abbey of St Mary's was not within the walled town, but it was on the outside, and it lies on the banks of the Blackwater River. The establishment of the abbey is dated to about 1189, when it is said to have been founded by Jocelyn Nangle, on the site of the Celtic monastery of St Fechin. Although the site of the abbey is known, no upstanding structures are evident today. Now what I mean by that is that, of course, an archaeological excavation may reveal a lot of what's left of the abbey. So if you look at the plan here, or the shot, you know that high-rise car park as you're going along the bypass here. This is the shopping centre, okay? This is the Blackwater River. So that area, it's mainly a wasteland today where the old cavalry barracks is. That's the position of the abbey. Surviving fragments of the abbey today in the parochial house, top left. See it here? These fragments survive. We also have the tomb of Bishop Bold, which is in Slane Castle. This font is in the Protestant church in Navan, St Mary's. This is the Apostle Stone. It's in Erk's Hermitage. Hugely interesting history attached to that stone. And also we have a pre-Norman font from the abbey itself. So medieval Navan. The power base in Meath centred on Trim, but included a port of Drogheda and the market towns of Duleek, Cowes, Boy and Navan. Although checkered plans such as Drogheda and Galway are occasionally found in medieval towns in Ireland, the predominant street plan was linear, as in the case of Navan. Generally, the marketplace was in the centre of the street, with houses positioned so that their gable end was on the street frontage. Access to the houses was often via small laneways, thus giving rise to the number of laneways in Navan today. As we all know, there's an extensive system of little laneways. The walled town covered an area of 12 acres for GAA players, that's about 8 or 9 pitches. The houses themselves were positioned on long, narrow burgage plots, which frequently stretched from the main street to the front wall, or the town wall. Contemporary maps show the property divisions, which date back to the early foundation of the town. The central location of Navan, within this newly established Anglo-Norman lordship and its riverine position, meant that it was strategically important to a growing network of Anglo-Norman towns and villages. The town flourished as a market centre under the first Baron of Navan, Jocelyn Langle, and was one of the first towns in Meath to receive a royal charter. The town was incorporated by King Edward IV on the 2nd of May 1469. The most important position in the town was of citizen or burgess. Under the charter, they could make laws, they could govern the town. The term citizen, a freeman, were applied to property owners in the town. The charter authorised these burgess or citizens to levy tolls on goods coming into the town. Some of the oldest place names in Navan date back to this time. So we've Market Square, Bakery Lane, Corn Market, and the Shambles. So this is a modern day, I suppose, take on Navan, and you can see the medieval area are superimposed over the modern map. Now I know a lot of people are familiar with Navan, so we'll go a little bit into this. The street layout of the town was Y-shaped. So can you all see the Y shape here? One down here. And the long burgage plots extended from the main streets here, and they went all the way back to the wall. See, they're quite distinct there on that side. That's a modern take to remember. 3 main streets made up the medieval core. That's Trimgate Street, Watergate Street, and Ludlow Street. Many of the narrow medieval laneways that were characteristic of the original town layout are still present. Access to the walled town was controlled by 3 gates, big gates, you can see them here. You have Watergate, Trimgate, and Dublin Gate. So to come into the town with your wares or your goods, you had to pass through these gates and you had to pay a tax and a levy. So that's how the Normans controlled areas, controlled food, and controlled a lot of what was going on at that time. So these are some, a representation, I suppose, of some of the laneways, not all of them, that you'll see today if you walk around Navan. So we have Medges Lane. Medges were quite an old family in the town. We have Bakery Lane. You all familiar with these? Yeah. We have Eimear's or Clock Lane. So this is the street view. And when you go into it, this is the view back on to the street itself. You know Walsh's Jewellers? Yeah. With the clock. Imagine the clock is there, okay? No, it's not. But this is Walsh's. We also have the Royal Meath, one up here. So Halpin's Entry or Rafferty's Lane. This is the laneway here. So a lot of research went into these photographs, by the way, I did. Okay, so this is the area view of modern Navan. So you get an idea of the circuit of the medieval wall, or the size of the town. It was a very significant town for its time. We have the 2 rivers, the Boyne and the Blackwater, and of course the Meath here. Can you all see Market Square? And you can see the town layout. Okay. This is, I'm going to do a very quick run around the town, if you like, of exactly where the medieval street or laneways cross. So you're all familiar with Patsy Reel's shop here. So the gate was here. So this is Dublin Gate, that's where it was. And the wall itself just goes in this direction. So keep that in mind, okay? This is where the wall and gate were positioned. Okay, so we're moving up to Bedford Place on Churchill. Can you all see this red gate? Yeah. See the big arrow and see the red gate. So go up there later today. I think there's a different gate there now, not today, but sometime. And have a look inside. And this is what you'll see. And this is where the wall crossed over. Now this is very interesting. It gives us a very good date for the wall itself. Excavations were carried out there, I think in 2010 or 11, I'm not sure of the date. And because the wall foundation is well known about, there was a conditional planning that had to be archaeologically monitored. So the archaeologist that was there revealed the base of the town wall. Can you see it here? So it's a small little cutting. So the wall goes this way. Now 4 to 6 sherds of a very nice medieval pottery came from the base of the wall. And those sherds of pottery have a very early date of the 13th century. So what can't speak can't lie, as they say. So the very earliest foundation of the wall has been established through archaeological methods. So we're moving on a little bit. You know the pharmacy that's here? So go up a little bit. See the big white arrow? Can you all see that little gateway? So go there and have a look. And look in through the gateway, and this is what you'll see. Can you see the wall? So it runs right at the back, all along here. Go on again. This is the Traveller's Workshop, and also Bakery Lane. So first of all, we go to the Traveller's Workshop, and this is the wall. So it's coming in there. And if you go to the far side of the wall, it's Henry Loughran's pub here. This is what you'll see, it's in the car park. Okay, so again, these are the very early foundations of the town. Go up Bakery Lane. See this gateway here? I'm sure you're all familiar with these things. So if you look in this gateway here, just have a little peek, this is what you'll see. So there's the wall travelling on down towards the parochial house. Bakery Lane again. You're all familiar with McDermott's. Look in here, to your right hand side. This is a split shot, but this is the wall coming through McDermott's, then travelling on again. So it's still there. Father Hurley and I had a very interesting day with Loretta. We were poking around in the parochial house, the garden, having a look. So this is the wall coming through here. And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the churchyard. Go on again. So can you see it here? Coming through. This is the parochial house, the yard. And there you can see where the wall comes out and then turns again. Now there is some evidence for a riverine wall. This is the old Meath Chronicle, Meath Chronicle offices. In, I think it was 2008, for the broadband project, Arcteca company were in place, I suppose, to make sure that nothing was disturbed in the town, because anything that is excavated within the walled town has a condition of planning that it has to actually be recorded and looked at. And about 19 metres